Hello and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today we're going to interview actress Leigh Taylor Young. She is an Emmy-winning actress who has appeared in many great films, television shows, and on stage. Some of her most famous films include Soylent Green, The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight, Jagged Edge, and she also won an Emmy for her role on the hit television series Picket Fences. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so make sure to click on that notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. Also, we ask that you post a link to today's show on all your social media to help spread the word. Now, let's say hello to Leigh Taylor Young. Hi, Leigh. Welcome to the John Ark Show. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's nice to have you on the show. Leigh, the first time I saw you on the screen was in a movie called Soylent Green with Charlton Heston. And when the movie came out, immediately several things struck me about the movie. First, it seemed to look very apocalyptic to me and prophetic. Now when I see the actual news footage of New York and Los Angeles, it actually looks much worse than what was depicted in the movie Soylent Green. Have you been to either New York or LA in the last year or so? And if so, what are your thoughts about how it was depicted in the movie back then versus how it appears now in reality?
Well, I haven't been to New York in a while. Well, earlier this year, I live in the Los Angeles area, so I'm very familiar with how this looks. Right now, I have to say it's a gorgeous day. Everything looks a bit on the paradisical side. I know that is not the fortune of other parts of the country, and I have a lot of compassion for that. So I'm not seeing a lot of this except on the news.
Right. So the next thing I noticed about you and Charlton Heston and Edward G. Robinson in Soylent Green was how all three of you played your characters with such great dignity. Now, you were playing a residential prostitute named Cheryl, who was described as furniture in the movie, but you played her with such dignity and intelligence. Was it your decision to portray her that way, or was that something the script caused you to do?
I certainly don't think it was in the script, and that's in no way an aspersion on the script, but there wasn't a lot of character direction in the script. And Richard Fleischer, the director, gave me just a lot of space to just be. He didn't do a lot of tinkering with me. He kind of, I think that I just had, I saw the movie recently. I hadn't seen it in 20 years. And I must say it affected me more than it ever had. I think
Really?
I think it's because we are in a narrative that's very constant, using the words global warming. And the movie, very early on, you hear them use those words and you see it up close and personal. So it's, I think, more personal in terms of the fact that collectively we know that we're in a global crisis. That movie at the time was more like science fiction, not necessarily considering itself as prophecy, but more like what could be in a science fiction way. And now we see a lot of it was talking about what could come environmentally.
You know, I've never met or done business with Mr. Heston, but my perception of him on the screen was always very dignified, very intelligent, very rational. What were your perceptions of him when you worked with him on the movie?
I found him a gentleman. That's important, you know, when you're working hard, long hours, and everybody has an intensity to complete on time, in budget, and hopefully with high quality. And so I was working with actors who all shared that intention. So certainly Edward G. Robinson is a gentleman, and Charlton Heston tremendously so. Very somber fellow. He small talk or joking around wasn't his thing. Very professional, very business at hand. So he was not a warm fuzzy to work with, you could say, whereas Edward G. Robinson was. Eddie understood how to make people feel very, very comfortable in his presence. He would joke, he would hug you, it was a very different thing.
That's interesting. Now, when you saw Soylent Green when it first came out at the theaters, what did you and your friends think?
Uh, well, I don't know about my friends. I don't remember having much of a conversation about it. Personally, I just thought it was a job for me.
Okay.
Sometimes you do things that are jobs, and sometimes you're involved with their creation, their production, and you have a different kind of investment. When you're kind of a hired gun, if you will, it isn't that you're not invested to do your absolute best. I'm wired that way, but I didn't have a lot of investment in whatever its tone was, its story, or its message. What
Go ahead.
I was taken by, deeply taken by, was Edward G. Robinson's performance.
Were you a fan of science fiction movies before you made this one?
No, I've never been I'm much more so now I have science fiction interstellar interests, if you will. I find that very fascinating now because of the science and just our world.
Now, did the movie dramatically change your life or career in any way?
I don't think so, really.
Okay. All right. Did you see the movie, as something that was prophetic? Did that sort of strike you?
Not at the time, although I have always had a very potent environmental interest. Mm-hmm. So I was taken by the overwhelming sense of the movie. Even working in it, walking in the streets, even though it was the MGM lot, it was very hard to walk on that lot because of the air quality, because of what they were creating in the movie. I'm an optimist. I believe we human beings tend to learn hard, but I think we're hardwired to learn and grow. And often we grow the most through what we've created that might be dark and very challenging. I think what we're looking at is indeed what we've created. Now we're really facing it. Mm. We're being forced globally to face it. And I think I always vote for humanity. I believe in the goodness of ultimate goodness of things. So I'm just wired that way. So I see tough labor, beautiful baby.
Has the film industry, especially the science fiction films, have they become more special effects obsessed than ever before?
I don't know. I know there's this movie coming out called The Creator.
Yeah.
That looks pretty wild in terms of special effects. I think it's going to be in an IMAX theater, which means you're going to get the maximum benefit. I like special effects myself. I like them. I don't want to be horrified and terrified. That's not my drink of choice, if you will. I get too anxious with that. I just don't enjoy horror or blood and gore or people getting hurt. I just don't respond. So I don't really know if it's going too much that way or not.
I saw The Creator last week, and what I really liked about it was the juxtaposition of how beautiful Thailand was, because it was filmed in Thailand, and the technology that was depicted throughout the movie. So that was sort of interesting. I've never seen Thailand filmed that beautifully. But so when people come up to you and ask you about becoming an actor, which I assume they probably still do, what do you tell them?
I just tell them in terms of my situation, and I would encourage them in their situation, whatever that might be, to follow your heart. I feel that way with any profession we choose, that if we feel it in the place that is the most sensitive to us, the heart area, is it a passion? Is it something you're drawn to? Just can't help it. You're just drawn to it. You love the visual, the people, the culture of it. You need that because you're going to have, like any profession, you're going to have your hard knocks, and you have to have enough love for what you're doing that can include that, so you don't give up on yourself or your own dream. You want to stay with it, get back up one more time. That's what wins in the end, is getting up one more time, enduring, take it, learn from it, assimilate it as, what can I learn from this to make myself better, stronger? Then I think that's what you need. That's what I would tell people.
So I recently watched Soylent Green on Blu-ray again, and they have a voiceover commentary track on the Blu-ray. And I'm listening to you and the director making comments about the movie, the filming process. And after a few minutes, it occurred to me that you actually sound more insightful and thoughtful and informed about this process than the director Richard did. Have you ever thought about directing or writing or doing both?
Not directing, but I love writing. I love writing. I'm never without a pen or paper in hand, and I'm still paper centric. So I have a computer. I write on a computer, but I love creativity. Period. So thank you for your comments. I consider that no matter what I've done in my life, I've, like I said, I think I've learned so much from my own life, and I like to process life experience in a way that is helpful to others and also obviously helpful for my next choices.
What is your geographic background? Are you from the Deep South? Where are you from?
No, I'm East Coast, Washington, D.C.
Okay. So that's...
I really love where I was born. I love Washington with all its faults and things. I love Washington. I love the founding fathers. I love the history of America. I love America. I'm passionate about the country and our values that I dearly hope we were strong enough to fight for, not like in battle, like it's going on now, but wisdom. More wisdom that has inclusion. Like, we have to include other people's opinions. We can't just hit them with mallets and destroy them for having the opinion, but learn from each other. We have to find a new way.
When I've listened to some of your other interviews, you struck me as somebody with a great deal of diplomacy and grace. And then I thought I heard or read somewhere that your family comes from a diplomatic background. Is that correct?
Well, I would answer it in two ways. It is diplomatic in that my parents were very high-minded people. They worked for the government. My mother worked for the Department of Agriculture. My father worked for the State Department. So they had jobs that could qualify them as in the diplomatic area for sure, but they had it in their nature, which is where real diplomacy is. It's in your willingness to find a negotiation. Nobody wins fully, but you win enough to be able to be inspired to go forward. So I had that in my background.
That's apparent in the way you conduct yourself during interviews, because like I said, there's significant gentility and grace in your speech, and when you hear that in other interviews conducted by other people, it's almost a surprise when you hear it in this day and age, because there's so much mudslinging, so much discord going on. So it surprised me. So here we go. So I saw the latest Indiana Jones movie where they digitally de-aged Harrison Ford. They made him look 35 years old, and it was really striking because it was so well done. Do you think that going forward, more people will license their digital images so that they can sell them or rent them out as they get older and continue to generate revenue for themselves and their estates? Do you think that's where this is all going?
I haven't had that thought in my head, to tell you the truth, but it's certainly engaging.
Well,
I mean, I can imagine it going that way. It makes kind of sense with AI and all these replications of realities, and it makes sense that it might go that way.
If you see the new Indiana Jones movie on cable in the next 6 months, check it out for a few minutes just to see the 35-year-old digitally created version of Harrison. It is amazing. It's indistinguishable from the real thing.
Wow.
So, Do you believe that the movies will eventually transition from being viewed experiences to participatory experiences the way that video games are now?
Give me an example of what that might look like.
So you might be wearing special goggles, which allow you to see the movie in a three-dimensional manner and interact with the characters in the movie in a three-dimensional manner. Do you think that that's where all this is going, or does the movie viewing process lose something when it becomes too technical?
Well, I certainly think I think we need to be mindful in all of this development that we don't lose what is special about us, that we're human beings. This is humanity. It's got its high side and its low side and it's in between. But that's always been what has engaged us in entertainment, is who we are as human beings in all these different dimensional ways, be it comedy, drama, horror, tragedy, all of it. If we get too far away from it, I think it's less engaging to me personally. Will I always enjoy the technology of special effects in amazing ways? I would, if it's part of the journey, not the whole journey. I like the dance between the human and the technology. I think that's interesting. But
what's been your favorite movie experience? Is there a movie project that you were involved in that just resonates with you till this very day?
By my nature, I'm such a forward moving person. I have to really stop and think if I'm looking back.
Mm-hmm.
So it might take me a moment. I always know how much I enjoyed my very first movie making experience with Peter Sellers and Paul Mazursky and Larry Tucker, because I love to laugh. And I was with three of the funniest people I've ever known in my life.
What was that movie?
It was called I Love You, Alice B. Toklas.
Okay, yeah.
1968, I believe, and or 67. And it was, I played a hippie. It was a very 60s comedy. But I have to say, what was funnier for me than the script were the people I was working with. One was a comedy writer by profession. Paul Mazursky himself was a comedy writer, but he had also done a lot of stand-up. So he himself was funny. And Peter Sellers was hilarious. And he had spent his whole life in various expressions of comedy. So he couldn't help himself. He just was that. And very intelligent. So I love the experience of laughing with them in the middle of creating an environment every day from our characters and the situations. No matter what it was, it created some field that was joyful. I love joy. So
did you ever see Being There with Peter?
Oh, yes.
What a masterpiece.
Oh, it is a masterpiece. He was so exquisite in that. Oh, my goodness.
His timing was unbelievable. The timing alone was killer.
Yeah. He understood that character. He understood the genius of that character, and also being there, being in present time. That character was so in present time. If you see the movie, there's a trailer on the end of a lot of the times it's played. And this would happen on the set with Peter, where if he had a glitch in remembering a line, he would start getting hysterical. And you would get to that same moment. It would be cut. You have to start again because he'd get the giggles. And then we'd start again, same exact spot. He just couldn't make it over the mountain. He would break down in the giggles. In that movie at the end, he's doing a scene that's an outtake that they keep for the pleasure of the audience, where you see him have these episodes of giggles and not being able to get the line out.
I saw a clip of you in that movie on YouTube, and it seemed very funny now. The humor translates well to this era. What's that?
I wasn't in Being There.
No, I mean the previous Peter Sellers movie.
Oh, okay, all right. I just wanted to
Yeah, and it was painfully funny. I just marveled at how the humor transcended the era in which it was created. It just carried forward to this day. It is really well done,
Oh, good.
and very impressive. So, Leigh,
While we're talking about Peter, did you like Dr. Strangelove? Another.
I did the different characters he assumed. When I saw it for the first time, I was just a little kid, so I didn't realize it was Peter in all those roles. That's how well he played them.
Yeah.
He just morphed into one role after another, and it was beautiful, beautiful. And it's I think that's a testimony to his talent. So,
Well,
what about you? If you had, go ahead.
Was that John Kubrick?
Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick, right?
Yeah.
Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick. There's another genius that was sort of unusual. He would force people to do 50, 60, 70 takes. Like Scatman Crothers, he fell down in The Shining. There's a scene where Scatman Crothers has to fall down repeatedly. And I think Stanley asked him to fall down for like the 65th or 70th time in a row. And Scatman is like an elderly gentleman. And that's a lot for a young guy to do. And eventually, the star of the movie, Jack Nicholson, stepped in because he saw that he's going to bang up his knees. He's not going to be able to walk after this nonsense. He stepped in and he said, Stanley, I think we have enough here. This is just a man falling down. I'm sure you have what you need within the first 50 or 60 takes. And so they moved on because he got carried away, So, Leigh, it's been great having you on the John Ark Show. Before we wrap things up, is there anything you would like to promote?
Goodness. No.
And if not, is there anything else you would like to discuss on camera?
I'm just open.
Okay.
I would invite people if they wanted to know a little bit more about what I might be doing in the future. I have a website that's very active.
Okay.
I could give that address. It's just my initials, lty.com.
Do you also appear at some of the Comic Cons, science fiction conventions? I think you would. I think people would go crazy if they saw you.
Oh, that would be fun. I don't know. I haven't been invited, so maybe I will be now.
Have somebody reach out on your behalf because, first of all, the movie itself, Soylent Green, it is impactful to this very day. And I think a lot of people, a lot of fans would love to see you. So
thank you,
just a thought. So once again, I want to thank you for coming on the John Ark Show. I want to wish you all the best to you and your family. And you're always welcome back on the show.
Thank you, dear. Appreciate it. And blessings to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. We hope you enjoyed that interview with Leigh Taylor Young. I want to thank you for watching, as well as encourage you to subscribe to our channel for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so make sure to click on that notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. Also, we ask that you post a link to today's show on all your social media to help spread the word. Thank you, and we shall talk to you soon. Bye-bye.